Mic check, mic check. What up, Rick Shark? Alex, welcome in. Jose, welcome in. To everybody else, hello, hello. Sorry for the delay. I was just allowing some time to pass so other people could join in. I hope that you had a nice, relaxing day off from trading. Today was, well, you all know, today was a holiday, so we're going to get right back into it tomorrow. And I hope that you actually already started to get back to work and do some of your own analysis, because preparation is key. Preparation is key. There are a lot of great setups going into this week, and I'm going to be breaking down all of my top stock picks for you shortly. But first, please note that I am not a financial advisor. This does not serve as financial advice. All mentions here are just my opinion. You guys know me, no BS. Let's just get straight to business. Press the like button for me, show some love. Let's get started. I'm going to break down my top 4 stock picks for tomorrow's watch list, and then I'm going to get into some side charts. Number 1 is going to be Apple. I'm going to actually back this up on the weekly chart time frame. So right now I'm on the daily chart. I usually will start my analysis on the daily chart, but there's something important to show you here on the weekly chart time frame, and this may be something that I've noted before, but this formation right here is an ascending triangle. We're kind of disregarding that one breakout peak because it didn't hold up when it did break out. So resistance is placed near the 140 price point. We have a flat top level of resistance. That's noted here, 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 and then here, where we're currently trading at. And we have higher lows being formed on the way up, right? So here, 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 and here. That's going to give you this ascending triangle formation, which is a bullish continuation pattern. This is a breakout pattern, and it's forming. What's important is that it's forming on the weekly chart time frame. So if this breaks out, we could see a more of a multi-day runner. I mean, this thing on the daily chart has already been running on the way up, but we're really starting to pick up some momentum here as we're nearing, as Apple's nearing this resistance point. So it's my belief we've kind of already broken all of these minor points of resistance down below. That was really around 137.5 that happened on Friday. So it's my belief that as long as we hold up, as long as Apple holds up above 137.5 this week, or 138, and we break 140, there's a good chance that this runs to test 145 and possibly even break 145 and continue to run beyond that. So Apple is the very first one on the watch list, forming that ascending triangle on the weekly chart time frame. That pattern also carries over to the daily chart time frame. It's trading just under the all-time highs, so we're looking for this move right here, this recent break over 138 or 137.5, to hold up and for this to continue to the top side. So a long idea over 140 as of right now. I'm going to give you guys my trigger levels for right now, but I want you to understand that these trigger levels can change by the morning. The market moves overnight, right? There's still a lot of time between now and market open, so make sure that you're using logic and adjusting your trigger levels in the morning according to how the stocks and how the market moves overnight. Oh, by the way, if you're just joining in, welcome in. I'm talking about my top stock picks for tomorrow. So I'm actually doing something a little different this time. Usually I have the chat wide open for everybody to talk in and to participate in. But this time I'm only allowing subscribers to the channel to be able to chat. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. There's only a 1-minute delay before you're actually able to use the chat. I will be taking charting requests at the end of the stream. So if you want me to chart whatever stock you're looking at, you have to be a subscriber to be able to call that out. Number 2 on the watch list is Uber, UBER. We actually talked about this last week. And we talked about it for the same reason that we're about to talk about it here. It is breaking this downward trend line here on the daily chart time frame. So again, I'm back on the daily chart. There was a lot of this selling off here leading up to earnings. A little bit of a rally, a lot of consolidation over the 200 EMA, which is bullish. Then it breaks over this downward trend line. So this whole time it was making lower highs, right? Breaks over the downward trend line, pulls back to essentially test that trend line, which was resistance as new support, and then has started to curl back up off of this trend line. So last week we discussed a possible trade idea if Uber could break over 52, and obviously that didn't happen, right? It just came down, but now it's back up to this price point, and this almost looks like a bull flag here, like a bull flag breakout if you're considering this bit of price action there. So this almost looks like a bull flag breakout going into kind of a major level of resistance here, $52, with a lot of potential to run to the top side. So I'm watching Uber to see if it can really hold up over this 50 EMA this week. I don't want to really see it break below the $51 price point. I would love to see a breakout over 52 happen. If we get a daily candle to close over 52, this might be one that we just continue to add to the watch list all week long. So it's definitely on the watch list for tomorrow, but if this candle close, if we get a daily candle to close over 52, we might put it on the watch list for the following day and the following day, right? And so long as that momentum is continuing to move the stock upwards, we're just going to keep, we're going to be looking for continuation play on this all week long. But one step at a time, needs to break 52 first. I'm not really interested in the trade if it falls below 51, but I'm definitely not interested if it falls below 50. Whole numbers like to act as natural points of support and resistance in the market, and you see this breakout pulled back to 50, perfectly held as support, and then bounced back up. So from here, I'm looking for this to not put in any lower lows. I'm wanting this to be the first higher low. So lower low, lower low, lower low, all the way down. This is going to be a higher low right here. And what we're looking for is essentially the trend reversal. Right? So we kind of already got the breakout over this trend line. Now we need this one to follow through, and we need a higher high printed here. So a break over 52 looks good for Uber going into tomorrow's session. And we broke this down last week. You know, the analysis hasn't really changed. I'm just putting it back on radar for you. Number 3 on the main chart watch list will be Facebook. By the way, if you're just joining into the stream, welcome in. We've already talked about Apple. We've already talked about Uber. We're on Facebook now. These are my top stock picks for tomorrow. If you missed the breakdown on them, don't worry. You can rewatch this stream. It'll be uploaded for the next 24 hours. So as soon as the stream is over, just click play and you can watch it all the way from the beginning. Facebook. This one was really, really interesting on Friday because you had a lot of the FANG stocks. So if you, I'm talking about like Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, a lot of those were running, right? Look at this price action here on Facebook first. The big pop move up into what? The all-time highs, pull back, of course, right? That makes sense that it's going to pull back following a larger move up. And then just a flat day. So we're going to move into the 5-minute chart time frame. I mean, hardly any price action here, just a lot of chopping around. Almost looking like it's a symmetrical triangle of sorts. It's sloppy. I mean, that's a bit of a stretch. It's just consolidation, right? And this is why it's interesting because it hasn't broken out and really ran with the rest of the market. So if we took a look at like Apple, big move up, right? If we take a look at Amazon, big move up. If we take a look at Google, right? You get the idea. Big move up, breaking out into the highs here. Facebook has not or did not move with the rest of those, which leads me to believe that it may still have the potential to make a move like that. It's just maybe doing it on its own time. Maybe this could be what's considered a laggard, where it'll make the move, but just a little bit later than everything else. There's a couple of ways to play this right now. So I'm moving into the 5-minute chart time frame. You see a lot of this consolidation is happening below which number? $358 price point. I mean, that's definitely your resistance point overhead. However, the more relevant point of resistance to where we are currently trading at, sorry, I zoomed in there, is going to be at $356. So there's two ways to play this, and I'm going to break down both scenarios for you right now. The first way is to take it long over 356. If you do that, though, you need to understand that 358 is just overhead, and that's likely going to be a point of resistance for you, or for this stock. So if you're taking the position, let's just call a break of 356, that's going to be an early position. If you're taking this early position over 356, you're anticipating that it's going to at least push to 358, if not potentially break 358. So you're assuming more risk because you don't know that it's going to even break over 358, but you're allowing yourself a little bit more profits, right? You're taking advantage of the $2 profit margin here, which is like 0.5%. So it's nothing super major as far as percents go, but it could be enough to give you a little bit of cushion in your position should 358 reject. Now, the other way to play it is to just stay patient and wait for a break of 358. Obviously, that's going to put it right up into the all-time highs, and you would have more confirmation. So it's less risk, less profits, and you got more confirmation on the play. Now, if Facebook opens up over 356, I'm just going to set the trigger at 358. If it opens underneath 356, I'll make the decision tomorrow morning if I'm going to place it at 358 or if I'm going to place it at 356. But it's totally up to you how you want to trade it. I like Facebook though. On the daily chart, it actually has some positive news behind the stock. I'll let you do your own due diligence and look that up on your own time. But Facebook, it is right up here at the all-time highs. It's consolidating. It was one of those stocks that did not have a big breakout move on Friday. So if we see this momentum in the market continue into tomorrow's session, Facebook potentially has the power to make that breakout move, especially since it's been, since it made a move sideways. All right, so just a quick recap. Apple has an ascending triangle on the weekly chart time frame. It's kind of already almost breaking out of that ascending triangle. It's really pushing the resistance. That's making the watch list for tomorrow. Uber has reclaimed that 50 EMA on the daily, so we're looking for a break over 52. That's definitely making the watch list for tomorrow. And Facebook, we're looking for this to break the highs at 358. Right? The last one on the main chart watch list is going to be Twitter. TWTR. This is one that I've put out a couple of times, but it's really looking interesting now at this time because of this range that's been formed. Resistance is clearly at 69, support around 67, and this candle is just closing over the top side of the range. So we have a daily candle, regardless of where these wicks are at. We have a daily candle closing outside of 69 or over top of 69. This means that there is the potential here for Twitter to have a range break and a continuation move from here up. Now, I like this one because it's in the category of social media, and I'm halfway expecting Facebook to make a move to the top side. And if Facebook makes a move, then there's the potential that Snapchat might make a move, which is also presenting a decent setup. We might see Twitter make a move, and then of course, Pinterest might make a move as well. That's just hypothetically, right? It's called sympathy plays. If you don't know what that means, look it up. But for Twitter, what we're looking for is just a break of 69.5 or $70. As of right now, I'm going to set my long trigger at 69.5. I'd absolutely need it to hold up, or would want it to hold up over 69 to even be in play. Otherwise, it just falls back into this range. And I don't really care what it does inside of this range. The only thing that I'm looking for on Twitter from here is the breakout move to push 70 and possibly even break 70 and continue to run up. The next kind of major point of resistance for this stock will be at $72 based off of this peak and this peak right here. So a break of 69.5 or 70 depending on the opening price, I think might give Twitter the power to run to this resistance near $72. All right, let's talk about some side charts. While I'm doing that, feel free to post up in the chat section anything you want me to review. Don't leave the stream just yet, because I'm going to give you my list of side charts, and all of these have the potential to make the main chart watch list for tomorrow. For the stocks that you're calling out, I just ask that you don't call out any penny stocks. Also, try to include some reasoning why you're calling out the stock that you are. So don't just call out, don't just put in there like, oh, Amazon. Say something about it. Hey, Amazon's trading at resistance. I think it might break out. What do you think? Right? Just makes for better conversation. Okay, side charts for us. The first one's Tesla. I know you guys are probably going to want me to break this one down. I am bullish on Tesla. I've been bullish on Tesla ever since this broke out here. I bought the dip, when it pulled back and we got the breakout move. I said when we get this breakout move, I'm swing trading it. The stock ran up to $700 and then came right back down. I was for sure thinking we were going to get a break of 700 last week, and it hasn't happened. So right now, in the long term, I'm bullish on Tesla, but short term, I don't know where this goes, because it's pushed up to 700 a couple of times here and rejected this area. So whole numbers act as resistance. We've already talked about that. But this is also giving us a range now with roughly 670 or 667 to 670 as support. So failure to hold 670 or 667 as support, this falls into a gap where you've got a $10 drop possible for this to come down to 657 to fill the gap area to the bottom side, because just as fast as it moved up, it could also come down, if not faster. So we need to watch this one this week. I don't know if there's a trade possible on this for tomorrow. Given kind of where it's at right now, I'm not really planning on trading it. But I want to watch it this week, because if it breaks 700 or if it breaks 667, I'm ready to take a position on this either way for a day trade to either side, right? So bullish over 700, bearish below 667 for the gap fill, and then we'll see where we go from there. But this is definitely a range to keep an eye on. Amazon, we briefly looked at this one earlier, and I didn't really do any analysis on it, but I'll back this up to the weekly chart time frame so you can see what we've got going on here. This in itself is a major range. This is a big range for Amazon. So supports around 2,900, resistance around 3,500 up here, the highs being at 3,554, and Amazon is trading not far off from that 3,554 price point. It's not there yet, right? So it doesn't look like it has breakout potential just yet. But I want to make sure that you have an alert set at 3,550 or in that area, because this has the potential to get there this week, and then we'll see what it does from there. All right, so make sure you just have your alerts set at the highs. One thing that's super important to realize is that the longer that a stock shapes up in a pattern or consolidates for, the larger the breakout will be. So for example, let's take a look back here. Look at how long Amazon was trading, pretty much sideways for, and then when it did break out finally, look at the major move that it made. And then so we have that similar range trading here, and potentially a breakout coming. So we could see something run, could see Amazon run potentially all week long if it decides to break out. So alert set over 3,550 area, or 3,554. Microsoft. This one's very easy for analysis. It's at the all-time highs. It's trading underneath $278. It just keeps making new highs. So if the trend is your friend and the stock is making new highs, just set your alerts at each high, because if it breaks each high, then obviously it's still bullish, it's still moving upwards, and there's still trade opportunity there. I would just be cautious if something's looking too extended. Microsoft's kind of getting to that point, but I mean, right now it seems like the big tech names are hot. So, trade where the money is flowing. The last one that I want to put on your radar is something I've already put on your radar. Netflix, it still has a double gap to either side. So there's a gap over the high here, which we're going to adjust this. So there's a gap over 538.5 up to about 545 area. There's also a gap below 525. So a break to either side means that this potentially has the room to fill the gap. But the thing about Netflix is that it's been trading very choppy lately, as of late, where it's like it is making new highs into the gap, but just barely, right? So just barely making new highs into the gap, which makes it slightly annoying to trade as a gap fill, which is why this is a side chart watch and not a main chart watch. It's still a double gap. It's still a potential gap fill trade. It's just not doing so in one fell swoop, right? I mean, you could see the price action here. It's up, down, and there's a little bit of indecision there. All right, so the side charts that we have on radar, just to recap, is going to be Tesla over 700 and below 667, Amazon over 3554, Microsoft over 278, and then Netflix over 538 or below 525. You're going to want to have alerts set to either side. By the way, if you're just joining into the stream, where have you been? You're late. Now, we've already reviewed my main chart watch list. I'm going to be talking about some, I'm going to be taking some charting requests here soon. But that list that I mentioned in the beginning was Apple, Uber, Facebook, and Twitter. So if you missed that breakdown, you can just restart the stream. It will be uploaded for the next 24 hours. All right, let's take some trading requests or some charting requests here. Alex, the rookie, is saying, let's break down Dash. DoorDash. Okay, broke out of a small range between 175 and 180. Yeah, I don't know if I would call this a range necessarily, because it is slowly it seems to be making higher lows and higher highs. So I would probably consider this more of an upward channel than a range. For me, a range is something that has a very defined support and resistance, and it's moving sideways instead of up or down. But let's go ahead and continue to break this down. So you said made a higher high. Yeah, you even said it yourself. It made a higher high. Trading over 180 now, looking for a move over 185. Yeah, sure. I mean, I see the resistance right there too. This is arguably, patterns can be so subjective, but I could kind of make that look like a rising wedge, which it's actually a bearish formation and not a bullish one. But I've seen this break out before, right? So that doesn't mean that it has to break down. I totally see what you're looking at. A break over 185. I mean, at this point, there's nothing back here as far as price action goes that looks super significant to where it's currently trading at. So what I'm doing is like trying to draw a trend line from where it's at back here, and I just don't see any points that are super significant, like as far as support and resistance goes. I do see relevance at 190. That's going to be a resistance point there. So a break over 185, which is what you're mentioning, could send this up to the $190 price point. Is that what you had for a price target, Alex? I would be cautious though, because it's doing kind of what Netflix is doing, where it's like, yeah, it's making higher highs, but it's like barely doing so each day, which means it's slightly annoying to trade. But yeah, that would be my breakdown. I would look for a move towards 190 and then kind of reassess it from there and see what's the momentum looking like on this stock. CRM. So somebody, Otto, mentioned CRM, said it's been consolidating under 248 for the past couple of weeks till Friday, looking for a break to 249 or 250. Well, yeah, okay, so it's already up to 249 and just under 250. So when I mentioned earlier that whole numbers are natural points of support and resistance, that holds true for this. Like, so it's not just every 100 or 200 or $300. It's also the half numbers, right? 150, 250, 350, 450, etc. And this is proven with this point right here. So if we just drew a trend line there, obviously this is your resistance. It's at 250, which is the whole number, and it's just under that price point right now. I would just wait for a break of 250 on this. I know it kind of already looks like it's breaking out of something here. The volume isn't there though, which can be misleading. So volume is one indicator that you can use to confirm a breakout. And because this is making new highs, but there is no volume, I wouldn't consider this a breakout yet, meaning that there is still time, right? We're still alerting this in time to be able to trade it. But I would just wait for a break over 250 first before taking a position, because obviously, you know, it could do something like this where it just pushes up and then rejects and never even breaks over. But I like the setup. I like the setup that's being presented here. Yeah. Okay, Sam's mentioning Snapchat. So this is one that we actually put it on radar at the break of like 66, and then I just mentioned it earlier actually. I like Snapchat going into this week because I said that Facebook has the potential to run, Twitter I think has potential to run, and so you might see a sector sympathy with all these social media stocks, and Snapchat's obviously breaking major resistance here on the daily. 66 being that resistance point, old resistance becoming new support, nice bounce off of 66, and then it just hasn't done much since then. So it is trading near 73, but it's still underneath 70. I think that a break of 70 would be, you know, the confirming move for us on Snapchat. So I'm going to set an alert there. It needs to absolutely hold up over 66 though to be relevant from here. This might not be a bad swing trade idea either. You'd have a stop placed at 66, and you'd be looking for the breakout of 70 and run towards the 73 area. Damien's mentioning AMC. I mean, I don't really do meme stocks. I liked AMC before it got super popular, but here's what we have going on. It almost looks like it's breaking down from this bull pennant pattern, but then I can also make it look like it's still holding up within the bull pennant pattern. Since this is a hammer candle, this is known as a hammer candle formation, it's basically telling me that this probably was relevant, right? That this was breaking down from the pennant formation that you see here, and then buyers stepped in. You have a little bit of increased volume here. Buyers stepped in and brought this back up to the top side. So that's telling me that since the buyers were here to basically buy the dip, this does have potential to reverse and push back up to the top side. But I don't know if it's going to break out or break down from here. I mean, you have to start considering, you know, the risk to reward. The stock is up how much percent right now? 327%. You know, I know it's I know it's a Wall Street bets thing. So there's just no technical analysis really to be done on this. You have the pennant pattern, but patterns, I mean, it doesn't mean much when you have other outside factors influencing the stock, right? So fundamentals will always take precedence over technicals. And I consider the Wall Street bets, the meme stock thing, the whole meme stock craze, I consider all of that fundamental factors. DKNG, you're saying it has a symmetrical triangle on the weekly chart time frame. Let's see if you're right. I don't think that I see it. I think I mean, I don't know. I might know what you're talking about. Either you're talking about this right here, or you're talking about this larger formation, which would be like including all all of this price action. And I just don't feel like this whole piece is relevant. And if you're only talking about this area, I would probably consider this more of a bear flag than a symmetrical triangle. But let's break it down either way. So you said that it looks good over 52. Don't know. It is holding up over the 200 EMA, which on the daily chart time frame, that is a bullish that is a bullish sign. It's trading under the 50. It's trying to hold the 50, but it's trading under it still. So it's really at a pivotal point. I think that this could go either way from here, and you know, hey, maybe you are right with this downward trend line, regardless of, you know, whatever you want to call it, a bull flag or I mean a bear flag or a symmetrical triangle. The downward trend line is clearly there, and it is making lower highs all the way down. So here's what I would want to see on DKNG. You mentioned a long over 52. I'm going to change that for you. I'm going to disagree with that and say that you probably need to wait for this to break 53.5 or 54. Because if this is making lower highs on the daily chart time frame, then for confirmation of a breakout, you would need to see it make higher highs. Plus, you would want to see it hold this 200 EMA as a support, because a stock trading over the 200 EMA is considered to be bullish, which it is trading over that price point right now, but like it could break down from here or it could bounce, and we don't know. And since we don't know what this is going to do, that does not make this a high probability setup, because there's literally a 50-50 chance that it goes up or down. So from here, I personally wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't touch it over 52. I think I would wait for a break of 54. That would give us confirmation, and maybe even a break of 56, giving us that extra confirmation that it is truly reversing this downtrend. Then there's still plenty of room for it to run back up to the top side if that's the case. Somebody mentioned that Shopify has a bull flag on the daily. Yeah, it's trading at the whole number, 1500. I would agree that this is a bullish formation of some sort, given this big run right here. So whether you want to call it a bull flag or a bull pennant, doesn't matter. 1500 is the level to watch. I totally agree with that, Sid. So there's your run up. Naturally, it makes sense that this area would reject or be treated as a resistance, and it makes sense that this would consolidate after making a larger move up. What I like about Shopify is that the volume here is dying off during this consolidation. So that's what you want to see during the during any pattern that's being formed. Lower volume on the consolidation, higher volume on the breakout and momentum move. So break over 1500, you want to see that volume come back in and push this stock back up to the top side. All right, let's see what else we got here. Sid saying SQ has a bull flag on the daily. I think this looks more choppy to me than a bull flag. I see what you're talking about, this pullback right here. But, I mean, it's like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. It's just maybe an upward channel and not really a bull flag. You see what I'm getting at there? Yeah, so up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and it rejected most recently at 250. I don't see a trade here until it breaks over $250, and you know, that's based off of literally everything that we've kind of already talked about, with this being a whole number. And yeah, I know that the peak right here was at 250, but look, if it's in an upward channel, it's making higher highs as well as higher lows. And this should not really break below 240. If it does, that's kind of invalidating a couple of things. It'd be invalidating your bull flag that you See, it would also be invalidating the upward channel that I see, and it would be invalidating the current trend, which is higher lows and higher highs. So from here, yeah, I agree. It does need to break 250 to be relevant. There's not a daily candle here that's closing over 250. So until it makes that move, there's no trade on this for me. That's why you see my alert set there, 250 and at 252. Because the first one's going to serve to let me know that it's here. The second one's going to serve to let me know that it's making new highs and following that same pattern. Okay, let's check on Boeing. So Boeing is still moving within this larger pattern here that you see here. Higher lows, lower highs, and it's doing kind of a whole lot of nothing. Although the moves are getting tighter now. So this run up was really nice. That was fun to trade. It had what, 1, 2, 3, 4 gap ups. Totally retraced the move back down. We saw a little bit of selling pressure relieved, and then boom, another another gap down and a couple of big red days here. I don't see anything here on Boeing really. I think that it needs to hold up over 235, given that this is the most recent area of support. I have alerts set over like 242 and then again over 245, but me personally, I don't think that I would take a trade on Boeing until it gets up to 245, because then we're looking at a gap fill play, which is something that I would consider a high probability setup. But right now, I mean, it could bounce out this support line, or it could just continue to fall down to the 200 EMA. Either way, it would still be relevant where it's holding up and making higher lows. But yeah, I mean, just from a long bias perspective, I don't see anything here till it gets up and over 245. Got to get up to that gap area, then we'll talk about putting it on the watch list for us, or for a trade. NVIDIA, this is crazy. I can't believe that this continues to make new highs. There's like absolutely no sound technical analysis that I can give you here, other than like if it just makes a new high, there's a potential trade. It's up and over the $800 price point, so that's something that you're going to want to see hold as support. But look, if it breaks over 820, I guess there's a potential trade there. You're playing with fire though up here. You really have to consider the risk to reward, especially since it's making new highs, high after high. I actually put this on the watch list, but I put it on the watch list because it had 1, 2, 3 days basically, well 2.5 days of consolidating where it didn't really make a new high. And it was still trying to fight to hold this $800 price point as a support at the time, right? So it was these 3 days here. But now it's kind of been pushing up, pushing up, pushing up. So you may want to say, well, it's been making new highs. We don't have a period of consolidation and we don't have a pullback. So what do you think the next expected move could be? Potentially a pullback, right? Or potentially a period of consolidation. Yeah, I know there's a split coming up on, and that's why it's running like this. But maybe the run might be overdone. Maybe it's not. I don't know. At this point, I know I'm not touching it. That's just my kind of personal. I'm not going to touch it unless it has some sort of pullback or consolidation. But yeah, I mean, the easy analysis is this. If it makes a new high, it's making new highs. I don't know how else to put that. All right, let's do 2 more. I'm seeing somebody mention HD and AMD. We'll go over those. Home Depot, we've actually broken this down quite a few times in the past, and exactly what you're saying here, Zane, is what we're talking about. So Home Depot has broken the downtrend here on the daily, reclaimed this 50 EMA, broke top side out of a range, and made a higher high. Right, this is your lower high, low, and then, well, I guess it kind of already made a higher high there, but this is definitely giving you that confirmation that this is a higher high, because look, old support here, new resistance here. What do you think 320 could be from here? New support. It's HD is just one of those stocks that you might want to like swing trade rather than day trade, but I mean the momentum's up, so I wouldn't day trade. I mean, me personally, I wouldn't day trade it. It doesn't really move fast enough for me, but you know, if this is something, if you like slower moving stocks, or if some momentum comes into it, then by all means go for it. All right, we're going to break down AMD. This will be the last one. If I didn't get to your stock, make sure you can message me at any time on any platform, and I'll give you my analysis and my breakdown. All right, AMD. It's nearing the $100 price point. It's been on a rip lately. We've been trading this on the way up, actually. From here, I would just start to consider the fact that it's also feeling like NVIDIA, where it's making its run, and it is also a sector play with NVIDIA. So if NVIDIA decides to pull back, you might see AMD pull back. It's also nearing the highs where there's resistance at 98. Here, we'll draw it out so you can see. There's resistance definitely at 96. You see that there, and there. There's resistance definitely at 98. We see that here. You're going to have resistance at 99 given the highs, and you're going to have resistance at 100 given the fact that that's what? The whole number. So there's a lot of kind of major resistance points overhead, and the stock has been running, so it's like, you know, you got to consider your risk to reward there. I do think if it breaks 96, it has room to 98. That's why my alert is set at 96, but it needs to maybe, you know, give it a day or two to get up to 96 first, and then see if you get some consolidation underneath that price point. I think that that's the most ideal scenario, because you want to see it move sideways some and basically build a base for the next leg up, like it did here. Push up, sideways, build a base, next leg up. Push up, move sideways, build a base, next leg up, right? Build a base, next leg up. And then here, it's just starting to move sideways again. So potentially could be building that base. But yeah, I would be careful if this just continues to go kind of parabolic and run past 96. All right, everybody, thank you for your time. I am looking forward to making some money tomorrow. Apple, Uber, Facebook, and Twitter will be on the main chart watch list. Tesla, Netflix, Amazon, Microsoft, all of those we'll be keeping an eye on. And of course, anything that has any news in the morning and gaps up, we'll be keeping an eye on those stocks as well. Trade safe and trade smart. If you're not in my Discord server, make sure that you're being logical and adjusting your trigger levels in the morning to the market movement. You know, what I gave tonight was just kind of my rough plan that's going to be refined tomorrow morning once I'm able to see where the market decides to open up at. Again, thank you for your time. I'll see you all in chat later.